All right, we got Torah of Shem, first week back. Welcome back, everybody. How's that for Mazel, Pam? We're starting exactly at 9:30. Isn't that something?
Cool.
So there you go, right on the noggin. We're running about a half an hour late all week, bringing people in, first week back. When we last left our superheroes, I was theoretically moving to Modine and going on a world tour. Remember that, Pam?
I do.
I did move, and I am now speaking to you from Modine, probably for the first time. So it was a success, and I did go on a world tour. I met Loretta, and it was a total success. Loretta, give me a 1 over there. There we go. So we lived to see it. It was something, man. I'll tell you, that trip was dynamite on every level. It was unbelievable. You're here tonight and listening to the broadcast, and we're going to be on this every Wednesday doing Torah of Shem. We're always updating our files of what it is to mean the Torah of Shem. And my current definition of Torah of Shem is it's the definition of Ger. Pam, you know what Ger is? Ger is what you call it when you look up the verse. If you've ever looked up the verse of Ger and you looked at what it was, that's what Ger is. Meaning people don't look up the verses. Ger is a movement to look up the verse. Torah of Shem is all about looking up the verse. You guys give me a 1 or 2 on that. So let's go. Pam, grab the microphone. Tell me, you guys talk amongst yourselves. What do you want me to look up? What are we going to learn? We're going to learn a Torah of Shem thing. It'll be random, whatever it is, something to look up.
Torah of Shem thing.
We're going to just look up something, and we're going to go ahead and cold and come out of it with revelation. You guys can pick amongst yourselves what that thing is.
What is mandating the bud? What are people talking about?
What's that?
What are people talking about in the groups? I've seen stuff on not eating blood recently.
Yeah.
How would that apply to Ger?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You don't know my thing on that?
Well, it's not that I don't know, but others might not.
Did you know you saw my post. You were commenting over there. Right? You know about the Ger verses there.
Sort of, kind of. I mean, I would like to hear it laid out.
All right. So if it was a regular time, I wouldn't, because it's a dead horse for me already, but I will do it.
Well, I understand that it might be dead for you.
Yeah.
But Russell recently posted that thing about eating from the limb of a living animal.
Yeah.
And it stirred up conversations.
Yeah.
About eating blood.
All right, so let's do it.
Like soaking our meat and koshering meat like the Jews do.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Well, this will be an official counter missionary class that I'm going to give from Modine. It's a whole different energy over here. Completely different energy. It is not Sfat, for better or for worse. Okay, break out your Bible. 1711. Give me ones when you got it. 1711, book of Vayikra.
I'm on my way.
All right.
Almost. Channeling through. Okay, 17. Got it.
All right. Now, I'm going to pretend that I'm a counter missionary. My name rhymes with Crovia. And my last name rhymes with Minger.
Crovia Minger.
Or you can say my name rhymes with Heikel and Smomac.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
Random guesses. I don't mean anything in what I'm saying. I'm bad. I'm too bad. But here's why I'm picking on those guys. They got me a little bit upset, and this is why. All right, I'm gonna in wrestling when the wrestler is going to be going against a really good opponent, the coach will mimic the style of the opponent, so the wrestler gets a feel for what he's going to be going against. You follow me?
Right.
I am now a counter missionary rabbi. Okay, I'm no longer Rabbi David Katz.
Okay.
And here we go. The Christians, and if I get this messed up, I don't really care. I'm not a Christian. I don't know a Christian saved. We're going to make it up if we have to, for the sake of
Several of us used to be. So if you get stuck, we can help.
So this is what I'm saying. The Christians are going to tell me that Leviticus 17:11 is the blood of Jesus. Is that right?
No.
We can eat the blood of Jesus or something?
Well, they say that you should drink the blood of Jesus.
Yeah, but the counter missionaries use 17:11 to see something with Jesus.
Really?
Yeah, it's a famous thing. Because it'll atone. The blood atones.
Oh, the atonement. Okay, yeah, you're
Blood
right.
atones. So, and our counter missionary approach is no, Pam, you got it wrong. See, the verse cannot be speaking about Jesus. And I'm going to make up the reason here. Because I don't know what they say. I'm making up my own reason for context. I'm mimicking what they say. If the verse were talking about Jesus's blood, it would be with a different grammatical usage. But since the Torah was written like this, it's coming to exclude Jesus's blood. I mean, it cannot be Jesus. How many of you guys have heard an argument like that? 1 1 2 2 1 1 1 1 1 2. Hello. There you go. Now, you want to know why Rabbi Katz thinks that's a ridiculous statement? You guys want?
Why?
Because that is a ridiculous statement. That's why. This verse is not coming to say that it's not Jesus. You want to know why?
He has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. I mean, you can say it's not talking about Mickey Mouse also. You want to go there?
Yeah.
We can say it's not talking about St. Bernard dogs. You want to go there? So when I hear this, that it can't be Jesus, it is very foul and repulsive. What you're doing is legitimizing that God was like, hey, everybody, you might think this is Jesus, but let me clarify. No, this is not Jesus. You just validated Jesus that way. It's ridiculous. So now, number one, so then I've heard another little thing that this is not. I literally heard this guy say this on YouTube. This cannot be actually talking about blood. I mean, blood is not what this is about. You guys heard that one before? This verse has nothing really to do with blood.
That's new to me.
Yeah, I can show you the link where it says it. What does Rashi say on this verse? That it's all about the blood. Okay.
Well, God normally talks about what he means.
Yeah, exactly.
He says blood, it generally means blood.
In the counter-missionary world, they change what it means to trick Christians. But that's like me saying to Reuven, grown-ups don't get sick if they eat their carrots. Now, that's all fun and games. But if it were a real system of God-fearing, would you really say that to the kid? I'm not interested in the Bubameises.
You just teach them the truth.
Exactly. So then all of our former Christian friends are going to say, wow, I'm so glad the Torah wasn't talking about Jesus. I'm so glad. Wow, when I read this, I'm like, hey, Jesus, you're not even here. Then I go on Facebook, and all my really, really former Christian friends are trying to tell me there's some kind of Ger movement. And I'm curious what a Ger movement is. So I'm going to ask my counter-missionary rabbi, Rabbi, am I Ger? You guys ever hear them say that in the forums? Rabbi, am I Ger?
Yeah.
Should I be one of this Ger? And what do those rabbis say? Who? What?
Yeah.
What? I never heard of, a convert? Are you a convert? No, they said I'm Ger. Why would you be a convert? Are you actually a secret missionary trying to convert me to Christianity? No, I was just agreeing with you that Jesus isn't being spoken of here.
Now, which tree did you fall out of?
So then they say, am I Ger? And they say, why would you think you're a convert? So what I hear from that is that you're implying to me that you don't know what a Ger is. Right, Pam? Is that
right?
If you say convert, I'm assuming you don't know what a Ger is. That's what I'm assuming. But I find that really hard to believe. Really, 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 really hard to believe. Pam, read for me 17:10, the verse that comes one before 17:11. Thank God it's not talking about Jesus. Go ahead.
And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among them.
The who? What?
The strangers.
What is that in Hebrew?
Ger.
You're telling me 17:10 is going Ger?
No.
But I just told you I don't know what a Ger is.
What it says in the Hebrew.
So it comes down that they've been putting out 17:11 for the last X amount of years, saying up and down that there's no Jesus. Then then they believe that, and they say, okay, you got me. There's no Jesus. So am I Ger? Never heard of it. Are you a convert? You're telling me that you put out 17:11, you never once looked at 17:10? Once? And 17:10 is so Ger, it's like Parshas Ray about the meat. Even Chabad.org calls this a stranger sojourner. Nobody calls it a convert. Now, do you find that baffling? I do.
Absolutely.
How are you so sure that it's not talking about Jesus, but when it smacks you in the head with Ger, you're like, huh? What? Read 17:12 if that wasn't enough. The one after 17:11.
It's called tunnel vision. Okay, 12. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourns among you eat blood.
Say what? Why don't you read 13 also?
And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among them, that takes in hunting any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust.
Now, I find that bothersome, don't you guys? How in the world are they saying that there's no Ger in their lexicon when right in the middle of their lexicon, it's all about Ger?
Yep.
Am I missing something?
No, you got it.
But then they say that I'm skewing the sources. I'm lying to everybody. I must be missing something. I'm missing something because it's so blatant. That's called the Torah of Shem. Torah of Shem is when it's right smack dab there. Now that's the point that I wanted to convey, and I think we conveyed it. But now we're going to get to the real meat potatoes of Ger. The question that comes up, obviously, if the Ger is signified by the fact that he eats nevela, 1 or 2, Parshas Rei 14:21, right?
Right.
So that implies non-kosher meat.
Right.
What is the deal with Ger food? Do they eat meat, treif, kosher, the blood, not the blood? What is blood? It really needs clarified, since we know that the Ger is to receive the non-kosher meat. The Jewish meat is kosher and properly shechted. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you, Pam, because I saw your comment on Facebook, there's something called dam nefesh. And it comes from this verse, 17:11. Look at 17:11. Read the first couple words in English.
17, hang on. 11.
Read all 11 again. Read 11 again.
For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
Stop. That's called dam nefesh. Keep going.
And I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement.
That's not for you to drink. That's atoning blood. Keep going.
Right. For it is the blood that makes atonement by reason of the life.
Right. That's why we don't drink blood from animals. Now, where do we see dam nefesh, Pam? I am a shochet. I kill animals, ritually slaughter to eat them. Where in my process do I prevent my Jewish brethren from consuming the blood that contains the soul?
First of all, the pouring out the blood, or letting the blood drain out.
That's not true.
No?
No, that's a rabbinic enactment.
I thought it was, now you're going to make me have to go back and look.
That is all rabbinic. You should know the rabbinics and smicha of kosher is 100% rabbinic. It's not actual Torah law.
Okay, so what is the Torah law?
The Torah law is, and pay attention, when I slit the throat of Jesus, just kidding. When I slit the throat of a cow, yeah?
Right, of an animal.
The blood squirts out, correct?
Right.
That's called dam nefesh. That makes, I'm guessing on this one, because I don't know, I didn't learn these laws so much, but I'm guessing, just by logic, that it triggers a spasm in the animal. But what I do know for a fact is the blood squirts out of the neck. Okay, but just from what I remember, that I think when you kill an animal, proper shechting, the sharp blade, it I hate to say this word, but I'm gonna say this word, even though I don't know if it's the right word, or it might be a bit of offensive. Kind of like orgasmic. It makes everything just,
Gushes.
What's that?
It gushes.
Whatever that is, like a sneeze, just goes.
Yeah.
I'm talking on the insides. There's things going on with that blood. It's moving. It's not just you slip the there's a dynamic here. It was a live animal. It was a bucking bronco 2 seconds ago. And now it's not. So that's it. The life goes out. That is it. Exactly it. The life goes out. You took the life out. So there's a power behind that blood. And that blood is literally the life. You cannot consume that blood. It's like a cup of coffee. If I brew it and let it sit for 5 hours, do you want it? Not really. I want it when it's fresh. Or sushi, right? Sushi fresh is amazing. Sushi after a couple days, you'll get sick and die. Right? So that blood is that kind of high, chiyus. It's alive. It's 100%. Where you got it? There's a also when a dead body of a human, right? I studied up on this about the nefesh. You guys know, I know we're talking gross, but this is talking about checking animals and blood. Pardon me. Do you know what happens to a body when it dies? Do you guys know what happens to a dead human? It's very interesting if you put Torah to it. There's a wisdom of how a human body breaks down, not just cold. When it decomposes, and what happens is there's an explosion after a couple days, and the nefesh breaks out of your body, and it actually burns the area on the ground with the gases and things inside of you. There's like a consistency to it, meaning it's not just random. Like today, this guy's ear fell off, and then his hair fell out. It doesn't work that way. It's like it's a literal process of decomposing. You know what I mean? It's like a process. Like making wine is a process. So the dead animal is a process. It changes the flesh to meat, just like Loretta said. You follow what I'm saying? You check the animal, you are converting it into something new. It's no longer called a cow. It's called a steak. Right? The early stages of a steak. And here's a great answer, Pam, for the gift of Russell on Noahide law. Ready? What do you call the opposite of a steak?
Cow?
No, ripping the leg off the limb eating the limb of a living animal.
Oh.
Isn't that something?
Okay.
It's great. It works in a perfect inverse.
But now I have a question. Since we're back up to verse 13, this is where I got the idea.
I know. We're going to be going there. That's why I saw it too. That's where we're going. That's exactly where we're going. Hang on. Right? So when I had a cow and I shafted it, it became a steak. The Sitra Achra is always mimicking holiness. So I am kosher and holy. I call that a steak, and I don't eat the blood. The backside says put the blood and the steak together. We call that eating the limb of a living animal. Isn't that nice? It's perfect.
That's interesting.
It's perfect. It's the Noahide laws are not really, just don't kill and this and that, because no one does that. No one just wakes up and says, hey, I'm kind of bored. I went and killed 5 guys and robbed a bank and another day of my life. It really is perverted tikkun, perverted rectification. And this is where you get Jesus in the verse, right? It's in the Sitra Achra of it. If I drink Jesus' blood, I'm atoned for. Well, that's why you're doing that. You're putting bizarre practices in porous Kabbalah in the backside of a verse. The verse never mentioned it. You're just making things that aren't there. But that's what bad Kabbalah does, right? It's the Noahide laws prevent the backside. They prevent witchcraft, right? Pam, I want you to do tshuva so much, I got to kill you. No one just kills you. They say, I want you to do tshuva so much, I had to kill you. God told me to. No, Noahide law says you don't kill. It comes out, the perversions are 7. Kill, murder, adultery, idolatry, da-la-la-la-la-la. Noahide law keeps you straight, sane, and normal. Because there's never a permission to kill, steal, adultery, these things. So when I say I properly kill an animal, I let the blood go out, I don't eat the blood, and then it's now called a steak. The backside says put the blood, the cow, and the steak together and call it the limb of a living animal. And in some strange exotic country, we call that a delicacy, which they do. That's the irony. And if it weren't for Jewish law helping countries in this day and age, people would be considering that a delicacy. Because there are parts of the world that still do. So it's very interesting. But now, in Jewish rabbinic law, they pour out the blood and are very careful about that blood in the animal. But you need to know, Pam, that is not called dam nefesh, and it is not technically illegal to eat that. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the juice in a steak is not blood. It's other stuff. I saw a video about it. It's not that bloody steak is actually not bloody. It's other stuff that make it juicy.
Yeah, that would be another question because we came up across that.
Yeah.
Point.
So hold on. You're actually allowed to kill an animal, cut it up, slap that piece of meat on a grill, and eat it.
Because it cooked over an open fire.
Yeah, you don't need to salt it. You don't need to do anything.
Right.
So, the rabbinics, I'm not saying they're bad, and there's a natural wisdom to how salt works and all that process. It's very interesting. But the Torah we're talking about is the squirted out portion, right, of that blood.
So what you're saying is the Torah of Shem doesn't require.
No, the Torah of Shem wants you to understand how a cow can become a meat.
Right.
It's the transformation. Russell calls that, the Metatronic process. I mean, think about it. It was a cow, and now it's called meat through the ritual sacrifice through Torah law. I mean, that's fantastic. It just, that's God is the master of creation, So now let's get into the practicalities and figure out what's going on with the Nevela and all these things. Go ahead and read through, Pam. Take me through again, real step by step. Read 12.
Okay, 12 is now therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourns among you eat blood.
Yeah. So betochachem, that's real ger. I mean, so there's ger sojourner, who's someone who's just not from around here. All right, he stopped by for Shabbos. But this guy, and this is ger code. You guys heard me speak ger code before.
Mm-hmm.
He's gering. He is really gering. He's you would call this ger tzedek non-Jew. So but it still raises the question of why we don't want this guy eating the Vela, because if you do this, am I still able to sustain you? I mean, that's the biggest mitzvah there is with ger. So go ahead and read now 13.
And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel or of the strangers that sojourn among them that takes in hunting any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust.
That's it. The dam fish that goes out, you cover it with dust. That's how it's done today.
That's where I got the idea.
But that's still kosher food. We're still talking kosher. So the ger's got to eat nevela. Now, that's a contradiction until now. Keep going.
For as to the life of all flesh, the blood thereof is all one with the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, you shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eats it shall be cut off.
Okay, so we're not eating blood. We got it. Keep going.
And every soul that eats that which dies of itself, or that which is torn of beasts, whether he be homeborn or a stranger, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. Then shall he be clean. All
right, so this is what we got to look up. We're now looking up 17:15. Why would a ger not eat nevela? That is our burning question. And I'm going to find the answer. Let's see here. That's a really great question, man. Hang with me for a little bit. Here we go. Let's see, the Orchaim. So remember, this is Torah of Shem class. Are we here for Torah of Shem?
Absolutely.
So we're being ignorant, and then we want to come out of it with a revelation. So the ignorance is we didn't look it up, so we don't know. That's it. That's the definition of ignorant right there. We didn't look it up, so we don't know. and we make dumb comments on Facebook, and we act like we know, and we get in stupid fights. That's what we do. Then we want to get in the know, and then we want to go on Facebook and beat up people that think they know. Then we get yelled at for beating up people that think they know. Or kind. Amar v'kol nefesh lichlul kol hamisrabim l'mayla ches hadargis kamo sheparsheno izker beis dargis klalius ezrach and ger v'dikta klamer Ezrach v'ger perish kol shenechlal ve'ezrach v'kol shenechlal ger. He may have said it. I don't know if I'm sharp enough yet to get that. I think we're going to have to trade off to another guy. I'm not convinced with this one. At 17:15, let's go to our friend the Sifri. Let's go to our friend the Sifri. All right. Pam, you got me learning in the new house. Way to go. Getting the bracha coming down for the first time. 17, 15. 17, 15. Okay. Nevela, Kol Nefesh. Where is that? Kol Nefesh. Yachol Af Ha'akum. Talmud Loimer Ger. So, okay, so nobody can eat this stuff. I would say the Akum. That's why it says Ger. So the Akum can eat blood and can eat anything. That's number one. So, Pam, is the verse talking about Akum? No. E Ger Yachol Af Ger Toshav. Talmud Loimer Ezrach. Ma Ezrach ben Bris. Af Ger ben Bris. But here's another one. Here's your covenant that you're always talking about. This is talking about the ger in the covenant. If it's not a ger in the covenant, it's a ger toshav, but you didn't pay attention because it's not a complete answer. Ger toshav here means the Akum ger toshav, the Canaanites. So it's still not really telling us. But we're getting there. We're inching there. So it's not a total goy, Akum, and it's not like a Israeli goy, Akum. Okay, so now, with that said, that's all for the Sifri. Now let's go to the Malbim. מפני שבכלל כל נפש הוא גם העקום, לכן הוא צריך לפרש באזרח ובגר ולא עקום. כי בלא זה לא היה צריך לומר שינהג בגר. So very interesting. So number one, the ger reference is telling you not a goy. That's very nice. That's what he serves to do. He's saying this is not for goyim. שכבר למדו במחילתא וספרי בלוסחה שכל המצוות נוהגים בגר ולא צריך לרבוס גרים רק במקום שכתוב בני ישראל. Again, שכל המצוות נוהגים בגר ולא צריך וכל המצוות נוהגים בגר ולא צריך לרבוס גרים. Rak Mako Shakasa Ben Israel. So the reason here's a good one for Facebook. You ready to quote me on this?
Where are you at?
I'm in the Malbim of 1715. He says every commandment of the Torah that it does not stipulate or specify Bnei Israel, the ger is automatically included.
Okay, wait a minute. Read that again.
Wherever you see a commandment in the Torah, and it doesn't say specifically to the children of Israel, then you have to know that it is obvious that the Gerim are included in that mitzvah.
That helps.
This is why Moses talks to the people. It's obvious the Jewish people are there. That's not a challenge. But when it's a chiddush because the people are the ger. So when it says Bnei Yisrael, children of Israel, then there's no ger. Unless the Torah specifically says ger, which it does here. So here when it says ger, it's Jews, it's gerim, and it's not akum goy. Now, we are limiting the goy. We already explained above that the ger will come sometimes on the ger tzedek and sometimes on the ger toshav. Pretty good stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's great.
And we learn from it in Yano Tamid. We always learn the thing, the matter, the principle, every time. Meaning not some of the times, Moshe Weiner, but all the time. And here it's written Be'ezrach u'beger, the native Jew and the ger. Mistama nemru b'derech echad u'medaber meger tzedek shezeu geder hekesh. Again, Be'ezrach u'beger, Mistama nemru b'derech echad was said in one way. Wait, what's that mean? Yeah, that's how it's written. Mistama nemru. Yeah. This is not saying, hey, you good goyim go that way, and us Jews will go this way. It's not saying that. It's saying the ger and the ezrach, they're the same statement here. Right? I said, hey, Loretta and Pam, can you guys go run around the block and come back, please? Right? That doesn't mean Pam go left and Loretta go right. It's one statement, run together. So the ger and the Jew are here together. It's the same thing. U'medaber meger tzedek, shezeu geder hahekesh. This is the reason why it's together. I told you it was the ger tzedek also. Because he's gering. So your transient ger toshav, even the Noahide ger toshav, which is in halacha called ksat geris, which means he is not a complete ger, which is another way of saying, we brought this out on the world tour, right, in James Gosnell's backyard, that there's no ger toshav status today. But there's din shel ger toshav today. Now there's a checklist of 1,000 things for ger. Let's pretend, and you can pick whatever one of those you want to do today, of the ones that are acceptable, right? The other one you can't do, let's say, is go to the temple. So for that, there's no status. And let's say you're not a very strong ger toshav. Let's say you do your 7. And you just really don't have the time for more mitzvahs. All right, you'd like to, but you don't, right? So I hear from you once a year. Hey, everybody, cats, how's it going? Gotta go. That's a ger toshav, and it's higher than the Noahide, meaning he takes Kabbalah for himself, self-acceptance. He has a different set of dinim. Noahide, 7th law. It's different for him. It's dinim of ger, but I'm not an active ger. That's fine. So that non-active ger does not have to worry about not eating the vela and all these things. So that's most gerim that we know gerim to be. Now the converts of Jews, that's obvious. In fact, that's insulting if you have to say that. The ger tzedek is our long-term alien resident. You follow that? He's been here a long time. Right? My old neighbor Ron. Remember my whole story with Ron? He lived in Sfat a long time. That's a Ger, long-term Ger. James, God willing, your neighborhood, if you're there a long time, you're Ger Tzedek territory. James, are you actually here? Is this just are you lurking? You're here. So if you're, 20, 30 years, you're in your community, you're Ger Tzedek at that point. I mean, we know you inside and out. It's not even a question.
Would that be the resident stranger?
What's that?
The resident stranger?
Yeah, but he's really resident. You focus the word on resident. He is living here. I mean, we see this all the time. There's Jewish delis and stuff. There's always the one non-Jew that's there for 50 years. So they don't yet realize they're Gerim, but they are. So we're talking about a geared person. He's very geared, okay? Now, what does that mean for our very geared Tzedek non-Jew? Can he eat nevela? That's our question. Now, he's not going to eat the dam nefesh, okay? He's not going to check the cow and say, give me a glass of that. He's not doing that. But can he eat the nevela? And that's a big question. That's the question. They probably will. I mean, you can now, according to the Torah. But now we need to figure out about this nevela. Let me go to the Torah Tamima. See what he's got to say. We're locking it down. Locking it down. We're basically there. Because we can probably say that this Ger Tzedek won't eat nevela anymore. In fact, I can prove it to you. I just had a bad realization because it's a whole new development of Ger. Who wants new Ger Torah? Anybody want new Ger Torah?
Yeah.
I just figured out new Ger Torah. Why do we know that the Ger Tzedek non-Jew cannot eat nevela? Who knows the answer?
One more time, repeat the question.
How do we know that the Ger Tzedek non-Jew can no longer eat nevela? Because he's the Ger in your gate, Ger Asher B'Sharecha, that's a Ger Toshav, Oral V'Totav. He's an uncircumcised Ger. This Ger Tzedek non-Jew, if he's not circumcised, he certainly is on the level that could be. Meaning it wouldn't be a stretch to realize that he's circumcised.
Okay, wait. He's the Ger in the gate.
The Ger in the gate. No. The Ger in the gate is a Ger Toshav. He is not circumcised. The Ger Tzedek non-Jew, he may not be circumcised, but a lot of them are. And number two, he's no longer in your gate. He's in your city. You understand? He is not in your gate. That's a Ger Toshav. This is a Ger Tzedek.
I'm lost.
The Ger Toshav. Yeah?
Okay, but wait a minute. You're gearing all over the place.
I know it.
We have a Ger Toshav is the Ger in the gate.
And the Ger Tzedek is not him.
And the Ger Tzedek is not the Ger in the gate.
That's right. That's why the Ger Tzedek will no longer eat nevela, and the Ger Toshav, it's a mitzvah to eat nevela.
Okay. Wait a minute. Ger in the gate is Ger Toshav.
And he is not circumcised.
He is not. I'm writing this down.
I know you are.
And the Ger Tzedek.
He is not in your gate. He's in your city. And I can show you where that's written literally.
I really need that. Ger in the city.
And you can write that down. It's Bava Metzia 111b.
Bava Metzia 111b.
Yeah. And he cannot eat nevela anymore. And he might not be circumcised, but he probably is. It's just, he doesn't have to. It's one of those things. He probably is going to.
Okay, so what status is the Ger at the gate?
What's that?
Which status is the Ger at the gate?
You already asked me that. Ger Toshav.
Now, that's Ger in the gate.
This is the same thing.
Okay. I needed to know that.
Yeah.
Ger at and Ger in are both the same Ger.
Now, here's a trick question for James. If James goes, no, we don't give you Nevela, but you'll have a Kasha. I thought I have a mitzvah l'chiyuso on James. How could it be that you take away my mitzvah to sustain James when James no longer eats meat? What's the answer, James? The Ger outside the gate, James, is called the Ger Toshav Akum, the one who's a Canaanite, for your information. Now, how do I sustain you, James? You no longer eat nevela. What do we do? The answer is, what is the real reason I'm giving you meat, James? Why am I giving you meat, James? What am I really doing? Are you just with a big appetite? You're a bloodthirsty person? No, that's called giving you meat. What am I really doing? What am I really doing? No, I'm not. That's called giving you meat. What am I really doing? I am giving you tzedakah, like the Rambam Paskins. So the Ger Tzedek, you fulfill mitzvah l'chiyuso with tzedakah. Kamash Milan, the real mitzvah of Jew and Ger is tzedakah. Have you ever heard of Rambam 10:10, James? Did you ever hear that one? I give you tzedakah, you give me tzedakah. Now, if you're not on the level of tzedakah, I'm afraid you might be a goy. You're afraid that I think you're a goy. So what are we going to do? We're going to have a transaction over meat. I for sure can give you meat. James, can I give you meat even today? And I complain there's no Jubilee, and Blumenstiel said, and why this one said, can I give you meat today? Yes, I can. So the nevela is the currency of all time. Even when you're uncircumcised, even when you're outside the gate, like a Canaanite, all these things, as long as you're not literally akum nachri goy, we are good to go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Torah of Shem of this current post-world tour, thanks to James Gosnell and company of Ger. So a lot of this was learned on the tour, mind you. A lot of it was. It's very sharp now. Very, 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 very sharp. That's why Avodah Zarah 64b is Ezahu Ger Toshav. Who's a Ger Toshav? So here's another thing for Pam Rogers. Where do we see the Ger Tzedek in the Chumash? 17:15 Vayikra. Ger Tzedek non-Jew. James, you gotta like that. If you don't like that, there's something wrong with all of you. You've got to like that. I'm looking for this in the Gra. Let me, where's my Gra? That is really good stuff. Well, what is that? Let me be right back. I'm going to get this from the Gra. I want to see what he says. Hold on. This is pretty important. We finally found Ger Tzedek non-Jew. Can you believe that? What do you think about that, Pam?
I'm still trying to digest it.
Huh?
I'm still trying to digest it.
I can't believe this. This is fantastic. Yeah, I never thought. This is really it. But the funny thing is, no commentaries call him Ger Tzedek. How funny is that? Only the Malbim. Because it just doesn't matter. But
hey, that was the Malbim.
Yeah, Malbim of 1715.
Who is the Malbim?
Commentator in the 19th century.
I got to find out all the stuff. I've heard it. I'm familiar with the term. Haven't got a clue where to find it.
He's the Ger code master. So So the Gra is sticking with the Sifri, and the Ger. You know what you call the Ger Tzedek non-Jew?
What?
The Ger of the Covenant.
I like that.
James, no, Ger Chassid is also called a Ger Chassid Nachri. You don't want to say that because that goes down to Ger Toshav Akum, and then you're calling him a Chassid. That comes from Aaron Soloveitchik. You'll be getting it very soon.
Okay, Ger Tzedek non-Jew is Ger of the Covenant.
Yeah. The James, the Ger Toshav is the Chasidom Olam. Don't lose that distinction. Ger Tzedek non-Jew is not a Chasid. He's of the covenant. Big difference. Big difference. He is absolutely intermingled with Bnei Yisrael at Sinai.
That would be the convert.
No, the convert is a Jew.
Okay. So this is the Mishpatim.
Yeah, this is Mishpatim.
Oh.
Yeah, this is your Ger Tzedek non-Jew.
They're the ones
He cannot be a Jew. Even Chabad.org says this is not a Jew. So the reason why the rabbinic term that's fine, James, but you still don't call him a Chassid. You would say he came from the Chassidim. Right? He's not a Chassid. He came from the Chassidim. It's very interesting. Ger Tzedek is what you call the non-Jew, but that's a late rabbinic term, and I mean late. The late term. The Tanaic term is Ger of the Covenant.
The covenant being Sinai. The one.
Yeah. And the biblical, you call him the sojourning Ger, which makes Jason's spiritual babies look that much more silly when he tries to say that he's the Ger sojourner, and then he doesn't believe in Ger.
He doesn't believe in Ger. Really?
No, he doesn't. So it's the sojourn, right, Pam? You need to know this. The sojourning Ger. That is called Ger Tzedek non-Jew and the Ger of the Covenant. The sojourning Ger.
I got it.
That's who he is. He's the sojourning Ger. He's been around 30 years in your community. James, you're going to get cleaned up on all these things with Soloveitchik. I know I'm not changing definitions. I'm sharpening up because I've mastered the text. Soloveitchik got it, man, really, really, really good. David Katz is a wannabe, okay? Aaron Soloveitchik was the man. That's why we're doing this work. So this is the thing. You're seeing Ger Tzedek is made up. That's a late term. And again, the Ger of the Covenant is an earlier term, and the sojourning Ger is the Moses term, and the biblical prophetic term is the Nilva. Nilva Ger. That's also what you'd call the Ger Tzedek non-Jew, and that's why the commentators call it the Ger Tzedek over there. Because in the end of days, all the Gerim will be Ger Tzedek non-Jew, sojourning Ger of the Covenant, which is why I mentioned Shabbos. Pam, if you don't like this, there's something wrong with all of you. This is hot in the trot stuff, isn't it?
I'm getting a little excited, but now we need more notes.
I know. This is, man, it rains, it pours, man.
We need clarification of these terms, absolutely.
Well, here you go. Let's do it now. You know, this is it. I'm coming out with the translation. You should know. Very, really important things. Let me see. So we got the Gra. Let me see. You know what? I want to get the Midrash Aggadol on this. Let me go run up to my bedroom real quick and grab that. Hold on.
Okay. Loretta, if you want help with notes, just make good ones. Mine are scribbles. Your scribbles and my scribbles together, and we might be able to come up with something. Because this is something we really need getting clear, getting fine, because that's where a lot of the confusion is. Among look up the big spot. We'll go over. I'm on fire.
Yeah, so look, so the famous expression is Ger, Ger Tzedek, Toshav, Ger Ocho Nevelas. Now we know what that's like the original Ger code. Ger Toshav eats Nevelas, Ger Tzedek doesn't. It's just called Ger. That's Ger Stam. There, James, there's your Ger Stam. Ger Stam is this new guy, and he's Ger Tzedek.
Okay, what does Stam mean?
General. When you see the general Ger that everyone calls the convert, they only call it convert because later-wise they called it Ger Tzedek, which became convert. But it isn't. Ger Tzedek is the Ger of the Covenant, the sojourning Ger. The difference is our verse about meat. One eats nevela, one receives tzedakah. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. How that became convert, man, I really don't know. That's very strange. Very strange. I mean, look, a convert is a ger as much as I'm a ger because I'm a Baal Tshuva. I mean, that's such like a radical example, you know? So when you see just ger in the Torah, usually it's at least 1A is ger tzedek non-Jew. You got to assume it's the ger who's been around a while. Now, a lot of the times, the ger toshav is included. And when we include ger, it's to include toshav, like our meat verse, and to exclude the akum. A big function of ger toshav is to say no akum. I mean, isn't that what we're saying with the whole ger Noahide argument? Isn't it the same? What is James Gosnell's number one fight? I'm a ger, not a goy. What was my whole thing with Jacques in South Africa? I'm a ger, not a goy. Right? That's what ger toshav serves in the formula function. It's the whole thing of saying, I am not a goy, I took on ger. I live by the Torah of Moses. That's like the whole deal. Now, if you want to go from there and become ger tzedek non-Jew, that's up to you. Which is a nice way of saying, I have a mitzvah to give you tzedakah. Do you want it in steaks or do you want it in cash or a job? That's your choice. If you want to eat non-kosher food, then be a ger toshav. If you want to really absorb in the community, then let me give you cash. It's really your choice.
That's the way we've been understanding all these different definitions of ger that we find.
Yeah.
That it depends on your level of commitment.
That's it.
That is by choice.
That's it. It's a choice and where you're at in life and this and that. The Midrash HaGadol says that Ger of the Covenant. So that was the original ger tzedek non-Jew. So tzedek really is covenant. Covenant is tzedek. So why is a convert called a ger tzedek? Because he entered the covenant also. Isn't that something? He also, but see, the ger tzedek non-Jew enters the covenant as a ger tzedek non-Jew. The convert, you know how he entered the covenant, Pam?
How?
As a nachri. A convert is a nachri until the day he converts. Did you know that?
No.
That's the difference. You guys are coming in as ger in the covenant, The convert goes from Nachri to Jew.
He does. Wait a minute. He wouldn't go through the processes like climbing a ladder.
He does, but if he were to bail out in the middle of that process, he doesn't retain the process and say, now I'm a ger. He goes retroactively to Nachri. If you eat kosher meat today and tomorrow you don't go back to Nachri. Big difference.
No turning back.
Yeah.
Once you make a commitment, you're stuck.
No, if he bails on the commitment, he goes back to Nachri. It's like he did nothing. He accomplished nothing.
You lose the credit.
What's that?
You lose the credit.
Everything. He didn't. He basically did extra credit for fun and a total waste of everyone's time. The Pam Rogers, she goes back and forth. Okay, leave her alone. She's got to do what she's got to do. She never gave you a whole story of BS to begin with.
She's constantly trying.
Yeah, 100%.
It's intense.
That's it. She moved to Brooklyn. She ate kosher. She couldn't hack it. It was too expensive. Went back to Oklahoma. Give her a break. But the convert, hey, Rabbi, I'm there for you, man. I'm going to convert. I'm with you. No, you're not. And then when he bails, this is why you give converts a hard time, by the way, because they are a Nachri. Literally, that guy is a Nachri until he converts. Now, the problem is they're telling these people that they're Nachri and all these things, and they don't even want to be. They want to be ger. That's where I take issue. They're telling potential ger that they have to convert. Now, that's something totally different. That's called onus or duress. And he's being schemed and duped and doesn't even know it. Big difference.
I agree.
Let's look at the Keter Yonatan. See what he's going to say. Where is he at? Rashis Tvarim. Where did I put it? Shemos Vayikra. This is some good Ger Torah coming down this week. You got to love the Torah of Shem class. All right, 15. Vikul bin Adam, Shefel Bosman.
Torah of Shem is where we get more clarification.
That's it, isn't it?
And I'm loving it more and more.
Yeah, Torah of Shem is the best. It's where it's at. It is where it's at. A ger is just what you get on the other side of Torah of Shem is all it is. Noahide is what you get when you're too lazy to look
But
at.
I don't want to bring up things from the past, but when we started studying into Ger Shav, that's when we started hitting all the flack.
Yeah.
Boy, once you touch on Ger Shav, people don't want you going there.
I know, and we went there.
Don't go down that road.
And we're,
And you're like, but wait a minute.
I can't believe it took this long to get us through this. I mean, you'd think someone before me, like Vandal, someone would have done it.
Well,
Someone.
some people have been trying and been pushed back.
Yeah. Why, the pushback's that hard, huh?
Oh, man.
Really?
Oh, man. Yeah. One of the reasons we finally went silent, I know this is being recorded, so I have to behave, but one of the reasons we went silent for several years was because we had caught so much flack. And the last rabbi we approached with the idea of actually teaching us what we know now is Torah of Shem.
Yeah.
And some of the midrash, that gives us some fill-in on history, historical things, and digging into Torah like you dig into Torah. He actually got so upset with us that the people in the group that we were studying with, he told them, stay away.
So we really have an accomplishment.
He blackballed us for wanting to know this information.
So we have an accomplishment, you're saying, for breaking through.
Oh, man, yeah.
James Gosnell, you listen to this? This is something good I found on Shabbos. Ready?
Uh-huh.
This is why the Torah of Shem is the Torah of Ger. Ready? This is proof. Torah of Shem is Torah of Ger. Because Shem is the Ben Noach. Right? He is Ben Noach. And Ger is the priestly status of Ben Noach. A Ger that learns Torah is like a Kohen Gadol. Listen up. This is the Brisker Rav. You hear what I'm saying? Not simple stuff. Again, this is the Brisker Rav. It says in the Rambam, in the Hilchos Malachim 10:9, James Gosnell, that an Akum who keeps Shabbos even from the weekdays or makes for himself like Shabbos is Chayiv Misa. And we don't have to say if he made a moyed for himself, Klalo Shel Davar, the rule is Ein Manichin Osan Lechadish Das Os Mitzvahs La'atzim Adasan. Go read the Rambam over there. B'voyer b'divrav the Isra Shel Shabbos it's al Akum. The prohibition of Shabbos is on Akum. Hu mishum sha'asru lo lechadish das. A Akum cannot make his own religion. So mitzvah la'atzmo, make a mitzvah for himself. Hine next the anan gavi ha'avos im haya kvar alein shem Yisrael. By Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they were bnei Noach, right? Were they already classified as Jews? Udavar zeh mevoyer mekam makaimis tehine da mida amrina sha'asu haya lo din Yisrael mumar keda amrina b'kedushin. That you could say they had the law of an apostate Jew because of they were not acting like Jews pre-Sinai. V'chein amrina b'yavamos deka'amar le'rochmana la'Avraham lo tansuv shifcha de lo litzul zera basra v'chein yofinan b'yedaharig Moshe the Mitzri meshum the site there lo shel Yisrael chayav miso ki zeh muchach v'chetza hayu aleim shem Yisrael. That they're not actual Jews pre-Sinai. They had the desire of Israel, the desire of the name of Israel. Ella de bedin haya din ben Noach. As James says, they had the din of ben Noach. Lefi zeh nira de lo shayich kvar leimer de haya lein din akum sheshabes. They what they did remove was the law of an Akum. Was Abraham an Akum or a Ben Noach? Mekivan Shem Shechatza Hayo Kvar Yisrael. They are already inclined towards Israel. And that's what a Ger is. He is Chetza de Yisrael. He's inclined to Israel. Vehem Shayachim l'Shabbos. They are not commanded in Shabbos, but they are Shayach l'Shabbos. Yeah, yes, this is the Grees on the Rambam. They were shaykh to Shabbos. Ella de lo nitztavu, they weren't commanded. Vein ze chiddush dat, that was not called making your own religion. Ki mashum kiyum ad shelo nitztava. They kept Shabbos as up to the point of not being commanded. Mashum hachi shabir shayachim heim l'Shabbos. Masha ein kain la'akum. What they did was shaykh to Shabbos and it was not commanded, and they were not akum. The lo shna l'Shabbos im kain heim mechad shin la'atzman das b'shabim Shabbos b'shum hachi chayiv misa. The akum says that I have a secret document that commands me, Bob, commanded in Shabbos. Yeah, no joke, right? But again, I'm distorting the facts and I'm making it up as I go, right? Right? I guess I'm very good at convincing the Soloveitchik family about the Grees and the Rambam, according to Moshe Weiner. V'hinei mevoyer b'lashen Rambam da'akum sheshabes v'ein sarich loimer im asa moed la'atzmo zel havi chiddush ha'gemara kayim Avram Avinu kol ha'Torah. Avram kept the whole Torah, even though he wasn't commanded. Ashlo Nitna, before it was given, Afilo Erev Tavshilin, Afilo Moed v'Shabbos. He kept everything, even Erev Tavshilin and Shabbos. Shezeh l'chayra haya hadin sheyeh asrlo the ganze kayim ashlo nitna the aslo shaper yechol kayim mishum dechiptze haya Yisrael. He wasn't commanded. You could say it was forbidden, but it was called the desire of Israel. V'hine mekim on shahaya shayach etzlo Shabbos lo malhu atzmo. Since Shabbos was not commanded, but it was shaykh to him, relative to him, this is why he did not circumcise himself. Rather, he called for Shem, the son of Noah, to circumcise him.
Really?
Yes. Lo hayev sharos l'kayim es Shabbos ad shelo nitna kivan shehaya ben Noach. See, the Bnei Noach, according to this, the Bnei Noach was a one-generational item. This is why it says that Noah was a tzaddik in his generation. Because the Ham, Japheth, and Shem were the world's first, only, and last Bnei Noach. It was a one-generational thing. Then by Abraham, who was not a literal Ben Noach, was able to incline towards Yisrael and Shabbos. So Shem did not keep a Jewish Shabbos. Not by the Inyan, not by command, nothing. Then you could say, well, how could it be that Shem wouldn't have wanted to guard the Shabbos? Pam Rogers, did you know that the Jewish priests in the temple broke Shabbos in the temple? They can make fires.
I've read something about that, yeah.
Wasn't Shem a priest of God above?
Yeah.
What do you think he was doing on Shabbos? Point exactly.
But he was.
So that from the Avos, they were towards Israel. Therefore, Shem, the son of Noah, circumcised Abraham, and Abraham kept the Shabbos more like a Jew than Shem. Shem was the priest of God above, the king of Salem, and therefore he did not circumcise himself. How do you like them apples, Pam Rogers?
Haven't we said before Abraham was the bridge?
He was what?
The bridge.
Exactly. And Shem was on the other side. Shem was a Ben Noach.
That makes sense.
So therefore, Shem is the Rebbe. The Torah of Shem is the Torah for the Ben Noach, which is Ger Toshav. Because we're not talking Ben Noach Akum, because Abraham already rejected that. Shem never was that. And then the forefathers become the predecessors to Israel. Then you could say a Ger can choose to be Ger Toshav or Ger Tzedek. That's very powerful stuff. That's why Shem is the Ger. The Torah of Shem is for Ger. Torah of Moshe was born out of the Avos, and they really are one thing. Shem, the Gilgal of Moshe, one thing, different perspectives, but it really gives credit that the only Bnei Noach in the whole Torah were literally the Bnei Noach, and that is a one generational status according to the Greeks and the Rambam. I think we're done.